Hi everyone, welcome to J&D Gardens. It's early December and this is our first episode in our winter composting series. Now if you saw our fall compost series, we showed you how to start a brand new pile inside your compost bins, showed you what materials to use, and we showed you week by week how it broke down, how we turned the pile up all the way up to the last episode where we showed you how to sift out the material and have your finished compost. We're going to be doing the same in this video, but we thought we'd be a little more comprehensive, and we're going to show you how and what material to collect, how to process the material, how to store the material. We're even going to bring you a video on building your own compost bins. And then we'll show you week by week how we turn the pile over those cold winter days and how we keep it warm so it continues to break down. All the way up to the end where we'll show you the finished product and how we sift it out, ready for our spring garden. So stick with us, it's going to be an exciting series. So when you hear the words winter composting, a lot of people are like, you know what, I don't think that's for me. You know, it's just going to be too cold to go outside and turn the pile and make sure you're adding water. You know, I think I'm just going to wait till the spring. And I get all that. But there are actually a lot of benefits to winter composting. And let me talk about a few of them. Now, believe it or not, this time of the year is the best time to collect materials for your pile. Think about it. Your gardens have just died off, so you're going to have all that plant life, which is a great source of nitrogen. Then you have all the leaves falling from the trees and all the branches, and that's a great source of carbon. It's going to be easy to collect all the material, and it's totally going to jumpstart your compost pile. Now another benefit, and take this for someone who's been composting for a long time, it's actually not too bad to turn a pile during the winter. Every now and then you get a break in the weather, like today. It's actually just under 50 degrees. It's kind of cool out. So to come out and to turn a pile is actually not so bad. You're dressed up, but you know what? You're not going to be sweating as bad. So during the summer when it's 90 something degrees out and the pile is generating all this heat or radiating all this heat, it can be bad with all the bugs. So winter compost is not so bad. You don't have to turn it as much, and you're going to get breaks in the weather, and it's going to actually make it more enjoyable. And the third benefit, a third benefit of winter composting is that this time of the year, there's really not too much to do in the garden. Unless you have a greenhouse, you're not going to be doing too much outside. But if you start if you're working on a winter compost pile, then it's going to get you outside, get you in the fresh air, working around your garden. As you're turning your pile, you're looking at your planter bed thinking, what am I going to be planting there? And just kind of going to get you excited for the spring coming up. And by the time your pile's done, spring is going to be here and you're going to be ready to plant and you're going to have fresh compost. So there really are a lot of benefits to winter composting. Now the things that are needed for a compost pile are carbon materials, nitrogen materials, water, and air. For this episode, we're going to concentrate on carbons.
Carbon, often referred to as browns, because it includes things like dried leaves, wood chips, sawdust, cardboard, straw, and even shredded paper. These carbon materials are needed to provide energy for microorganisms while they break down your organic matter.
So some of the carbon materials that we like to use in our compost pile are things like leaves. You can find them everywhere this time of year and they're easy to collect. Another great source is hay. Now, a lot of people don't have hay bales lying around. We actually have these from our fall and autumn displays. And now that it's winter, we have to get rid of them. So instead of just throwing them away, we're actually going to use them in our compost bin. And it's a great source of carbon. Another great source is things like sawdust. Now, this is a collection bag. I do a lot of woodworking. And this is a collection bag from my shop, and as you can see, all this material is just broken down. It's gonna compost very, very easily. And I'm always careful when I'm woodworking to watch the kind of wood that I'm using in my collection system. So I don't use pressure treated wood or anything like that. This is mostly just pine. Now, if you're looking for materials, everyday materials around your house to put in your pile, another great source of carbon are things like cardboard and newspapers. And they're a great source, and you're obviously going to have a ton of it. So save all those Amazon boxes, and instead of just throwing them out, break them down a little bit and use them inside your bin. Now, another good source of carbon is things like twigs and branches. Any kind of wood material is a great source of carbon for your compost pile. But the key is not to throw it in whole. If you were to throw branches in like this, it's just going to take forever to break down. And for us, speed is the name of the game. Which brings us to the next point, which is processing the material. So in nature, decomposition happens no matter what. Eventually, everything's going to break down. I know a lot of people worry in their compost piles about having too much water or too little water or too much carbon to nitrogen ratio. At the end of the day, everything will break down. So there's really not too many ways to mess up a compost pile. As long as you're using organic materials, you're going to be fine. The only real thing that you can mess up in a compost pile is the speed in which it happens. And for us, speed is the name of the game. We always like to do our compost piles in a 6 to maybe 8 week time period. And which is why we process our materials. And by processing, I mean, we break the materials down to, we help the decomposition process by breaking the materials finer so that water and air can penetrate them and break them down easier. Let me give you an example. Take for example, leaves. Now, leaves are a great source of carbon and they're great to add to your compost pile. But if you put in whole leaves like this, it's going to take a long time for the water and air to penetrate in between them, because eventually too many leaves will get matted down. Think about when you were a kid and you dropped a book in the water in a puddle and all the pages kind of fused together and it became like a hard log. That's the same thing that will happen with leaves. If they're whole like this, they're just going to keep getting matted down and packed down. And it's going to be hard for air, which is needed to help break it down, get in between. So by processing, we're going to actually break up the leaves finer. And now you have tons of surface material for the water and air to get in there and break it down. Which is why I actually like using sawdust so much. Because look at it, it's already broken down and it's already processed. And it's going to be very easy for the water and air to break that all down. Which brings me over to things like branches and twigs. It's wood, so it's the same material, but again, if you throw this in a compost pile, it's just going to take way too long for it to break down, which is why we have to process this, and I'm going to show you how we do it. Now, if you're in an area that gets a lot of twigs and branches on your property, you might want to think about getting some kind of wood chipper, some kind of shredder, because it's really going to save you a lot of time. Like I said, it's just too hard to break this up into smaller materials on your own. But a simple shredder will just make all the difference. This is one that we got from Harbor Freight. I've had it for a few years and it's perfect. It's pretty reasonably priced. I think it was a couple of years ago, it was like less than 150 bucks. We'll leave a link to it below. But it's really great. It has spots to put 2 different size branches. I think this can take up to a 1-inch branch, and it gets mulched down in the bottom. Now, let me just show you how that goes. So I'm gonna turn this on here. Take a nice long one. And as you can see, those branches, see what it does? Look how great that breaks it up. And it's, like I said, it's a great source of carbon, so you definitely want to use the branches that you have in your area. Just want to process it a little bit. Now, things like cardboard and newspapers. Truth be told, we actually don't use too much cardboard in our compost piles because it actually just takes too long to break down. And by break down, I mean to process it. Like, you really want to kind of break it up into smaller materials. And we just find that it's just very difficult to do. So if it's a pile we're looking to turn around in a quick period, well, we don't use it. Now, if you have a lot of newspapers, if you get a lot of newspapers, you might want to have your, give a good task to your kid and give them a paper shredder and have them shred all the newspapers, and that you can add to your pile. It'll break down very easy. But cardboard, we just find it's just too difficult for us to process, so if we're looking to turn the pile around quick, we actually don't use it. Now, things like leaves, there's a couple of different ways of processing leaves. And one of them is getting yourself a leaf shredder. Let me just show you this. Let me switch out the power here. Now, there's a lot of different ones on the market. This one, there we go. This one's from Earthwise, and it's a good leaf shredder. We've had it for a few years. What it is, it actually has nylon cords inside, very similar to a weed whacker. And so it's pretty safe. There's no metal blade in there. And you drop the leaves inside, and it's collected in any kind of bag that you can attach. And like I said, there's a lot of ones on the market. This is a good one. Actually, the only reason we got this one because it actually had wheels on it. So we'll leave a link to it below. Just easier to move around. But let me show you. So let me, you have different settings on this. Let me start this up, and I'll show you how you handle this. Bear with me. There we go. Let me just pull this off. And what it does, it really breaks everything down real fine, and you're gonna have no problem in your compost bin with this. I'm making a mess here, but I just really wanted to show you. This broken down, it's gonna decompose very easily. There actually, if you don't have a leaf shredder and you're not looking to invest in one, there's actually another way of collecting mulching leaves, and that's using a lawnmower. And let me show you how we do that. So leaf collection in every township is different. Some towns make you actually collect your leaves, put them in brown paper bags, those tall ones, and leave them on the side of the road, and they'll come pick them up. You have certain days that they'll pick it up. Other towns, like ours, actually tell us to sweep it all into the street, right by the curve, a little bit on the grassy area. And at some point in sometime in November and December, they'll come with these large vacuum trucks that suck it all up and mulch it, and it's great. It's pretty impressive. You kind of want one for yourself. But it actually gives us a perfect opportunity to collect our leaves. So I'm here by my neighbor's property. I've collected all the leaves in my property, and I'm still going to need a lot more for my composting. So I've been at this for a little while. This this pile was actually another 20 feet this way, and I'm just going to keep going. So I'm going to be collecting a lot of it. And actually, this will condense to a very small area because it's all fluffy and leafy. The best way that I find to do it is sometimes if I can have an extension cord long enough, I'll have my leaf mulcher. And other ways, a real simple way of doing it, and actually pretty quick, is to use your lawnmower. Your lawnmower, regular lawnmower, nothing special, will actually chew it all up and bag it. And then it's really quick, easy to throw it inside the wheelbarrow. So the first thing you're going to want to do is obviously make sure you have your bag on there. Set the height of your lawnmower to as high as possible, and really just kind of go to town on it. And let me just show you. Okay, so there's really no rhyme or reason. You just want to keep going at the pile and breaking it down, and your lawnmower will shut off like you saw when you try to take too big of a bite. But it's really great because right now all the leaves are mulched here, so all I have to do is come here to the wheelbarrow, dump it, and it's broken down pretty great, as you can see. And the other good part about it is that it seems like you're making a big mess, but as you can see, it's actually mulching on the ground. So just sweep it up. Look at that, that's perfect. So the cleanup, you kind of come in with the broom, get into a big pile. This is where that big giant suction machine would work great. So at the same time, your lawnmower is mulching for you, collecting it, and everything left over on the ground is mulched up too. So, I mean, look at that. You just can't ask for anything better. This is gonna break down in the compost pile very easily. So it really is an efficient way to mulch. So I'm gonna keep working on this pile, and then I'm gonna show you how to store it for the winter as you use it for your compost pile. Now, once you've processed all your material, it's time to store some of it. Now remember, when you start your compost pile, you're going to use a lot of the material in it, but you're still going to need some material as the weeks go by to add to the pile. So it's important that you keep things safe and dry. Now, you can get lucky like I did. In one of my dumpster diving expeditions, I came across a bunch of these 40-gallon drums, good hard plastic, pretty big, has a nice lid on it, and I can store quite a bit of material in it. And as the weeks go by and I need to add to it, I'll just pull out the material and then put the lid back on, and it's going to stay nice and dry, protected from the elements, because we don't want anything to start breaking down inside here. That's what the compost pile is for. And if you don't have these 40-gallon drums, what you can use is garbage cans. If you have garbage cans, if you have extra garbage cans, you can use those. Or if you need to, just go to Home Depot or Lowe's and pick up the cheapest one available. All you need is something with a lid just to keep the materials dry. I think these were like $10, and it can, once you process your, like, let's say leaves, it's going to hold a lot, and it'll get you through your pile. So you definitely want to take a look at something like that. And at the end of the day, if you don't want to buy any garbage cans, or you don't have any lying around, you can use garbage bags, and that's fine. Just make sure you tie them up, you keep them dry, maybe keep them on the side of the garage, keep them on some overhang so that no rain or snow gets to them. Because you want to have them nice and dry, so when you start off your pile, it'll help get the pile burning up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Keep an eye out for our next video, where we talk about collecting, processing, and storing nitrogen materials for your pile. And if you're enjoying our videos, please leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And be sure to hit like and subscribe and ring that bell. So until next time, remember, yes we canna.